Defeat in the FA Cup shouldn't be anything new to us Town fans, but certainly some of the individual performances last night, they certainly need talking about. But will Town make the top two? We've got our league calculators coming up. It's live. Let's go. Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and let's jump straight into it because last night wasn't good, and while defeating the FA Cup certainly isn't anything new to Town fans, performances last night need speaking about because they weren't great. Matt, I'll kick things off with you, with who was the worst performance last night? Which one disappointed you the most?
What was so many contenders, wasn't there? I don't know. I mean, I was disappointed with the midfield. I felt sorry for Baggett.
Which one really disappointed you the most?
I feel like maybe Cajuste could have done better. As you guys kind of rightly said, after he didn't sort of get a grip on the game. I mean, neither did Dan Neil particularly. I mean, I don't really want to point fingers at anyone as a collective. It was poor all round. Baggett at left back. What was we expecting? I mean,
let's start with Jens Cajuste, because obviously a player that we brought in last year in the Premier League, had the Premier League campaign with us, brought him back in this summer with a loan, with an obligation to buy.
Yeah,
and Neil, as you've mentioned, has arrived. You've got now 4 midfield options for 2 positions, one of which belongs to Azor Matasiwa. So you can't see too many times Town play without Azor. So in that regards, Jens Cajuste has got us up maximising those minutes, has he not? And last night, it just didn't, for me, I agree with you, he didn't do it. He didn't drive the game I wanted him to. He didn't bring us up the field the way I wanted him to.
No.
His impact on the game, well, there wasn't one. It was really poor.
Yeah, I don't think, given the tempo we played at, I don't think Matasiwa would have done any better, to be quite frankly. We'd probably be sitting here saying exactly the same thing. I mean, I think Cajuste actually completed the most passes in a blue shirt last night. I mean, normally that's reserved for our one of the centre halves in the league games, be it O'Shea or Kipre, but certainly it fell upon Cajuste last night. And I think for me, Cajuste just did what he did in the Premier League last season. He just looks good. It's like the icing on the cake. It looks really good, but when you get just sort of below it, there's not much there. There's no impact in anything that he was doing. There was no defence splitting balls. I mean, he's not helped by anyone around him either, to be honest with you. Like I say, the energy of Ipswich getting forward was training game levels. I mean, you only have to look, Martin, at Sheffield United, Middlesbrough, the Monday just gone. And you could see why Borough have caught Coventry up and why they're top and why they are probably going to be champions. They play with such tempo and energy. Does that remind you of a couple of years ago, the McKenna side then? I mean, Ipswich just reduced it to a training game last night. It was a really hard watch. I felt really sorry for everyone who had gone. 1100, I mean, a friend of the show, AD, had gone on the coaches. I think they took 2 coaches. Got home at 2:45 in the morning, back to Stowmarket. All the money that people had spent getting up there. I mean, look, you have to sometimes expect this in sport, don't you? He's not going to get perfection, but Ipswich just went through the motions. And I think, you saw that throughout. Getting back to the question, you saw that throughout the side. Bobby Palmer was my man of the match. I mean, I thought he played all right. Although he did kind of set the agenda with that ridiculous header after about a minute. They should have gone one up there, shouldn't they? That's kind of set our stall out for the rest of the 90 minutes.
It really did. Look, we're going to go through as many performances as we can muster, really, or we can stomach, and we're going to talk about who we feel is going to finish on the top 2. We've done our league calculators. Maybe some good news. Keep yourself tuned for that one. And also, we're just going to try and discuss it out as we always do here at Talking Town. We've got Roy, who's just watched the Norwich game, and Toure scored again. He's now scored 5 goals in 3 appearances. That's nearly as many as Hirst has all season, which is a lovely segue into bread and butter, George Hirst. Because, look, I don't want to sit here and talk about him too much because I haven't got anything right now positive to say about George Hirst, but I'm desperate for him to have that confidence. So, not that he's going to sit here and listen to what I'm going to say, but Matt, it isn't going well for George Hirst at this moment in time. It just really isn't. And he's currently our answer. And if that's the answer, then that's not good.
Well, yeah, I mean, the lack of moves that Ipswich made in the transfer window in that position. And by the way, if you'd watched BBC Wales with Kieran Dyer, he said, vloggers and Ipswich Town podcasters, ourselves and others, have been debating whether or not we needed an upgrade in the number 9. And by the time we got to half time, what did Kieran say? Ipswich have looked toothless. Well, we've said that for, well, going back into the Premier League campaign, really, take Delap aside of that. Yeah, George had had the least touches of any outfield player, I think, last night, 31. Not helped, like I say, by a lack of attacking presence around him. And he can't do it all on his own. But he did get a very decent chance, didn't he? The ball in from the right-hand side. He should be slotting that away, really. It's gone through his legs. It was nice that he captained the side. I was wondering if you take O'Shea out, who would have been the captain? I thought maybe Furlong if he had played, but he didn't. Made sense maybe did it make sense for George Hirst, given his lack of form, to be the captain? I mean, he got interviewed beforehand and sounded really proud and privileged to do so, which was brilliant. But his performances on the pitch this season, as we know, have been debated for till nauseam on this show, have been well below the par. And McKenna has rolled the dice on this, because we've said the same about Ivan and we've said the same about Akpom. And there are only options in the 9.
Yeah. So I desperately want him. You desperately want him. We all desperately want him to refine some form, some confidence, because that is what's going to really help propel us to where we want to get to. And, FA Cup 4th round defeat to Wrexham, when you look at it through that lens, I'm not particularly upset, as it were, about going out of the FA Cup, because it is a distraction, or it could be a distraction. The focus has to be the league. My issue last night, and that's what we're talking about here, is the individual performances, the collective performance, how flat it was, how poor it was. Because, and this brings us on to the conversation about those changes, Matt. When we're talking about the changes, this isn't, you talk about travelling fans. I was one of the many travelling fans who went to Old Trafford many years ago under Mick McCarthy, who watched us play more or less a fully strength Man United side midweek in the Carabao Cup, which wasn't called the Carabao Cup back then. I can't remember what it was called. But we had a team that featured Yorworth, Malachek, Tommy Orr. This was not that Ipswich Town team in the sense of Alex Palmer, Premier League appearances. Kit Bray brought in this season, played fairly well. Dara O'Shea coming at half-time. Jacob Greaves, big money, Premier League appearances. Elkan Baggott was the only player you could maybe class as a younger player making that step into the team. Right back, Ben Johnson, Premier League appearances. Cajuste. And it goes on and it goes on. These are players that we're going to hopefully count on towards the end of the season. We need them playing well. We need them performing. So for so many individual performances to be so flat and the team to be so poor, for me, is the massive concern from that last night, not the defeat. If you lost 3-2 and everyone played all right, you'd be going, oh, well, next week's next week. But it didn't. It was poor, really poor.
Yeah, we've seen this in Ipswich performances in the Cups, in the not too distant past. I mean, look, go back to the game against Bromley in the League Cup back in August. That was an incredibly poor performance. Even just before Kieran came in, remember the Barrow result on the ITV? Incredibly poor performance. And this was up there, really. I don't think any Ipswich fan watching this, speaking in the comments, has probably got any issue with us being defeated last night. It's not particularly a problem. We've said before, didn't we? What would you take? The win last night and a loss on Saturday, or a loss last night and 3 points on next Saturday? And we'd all take that latter option, wouldn't we? But it's just the manner of the defeat is so bad. Go into next week now, albeit probably with a different 11, but with no momentum at the same ground, at the racecourse ground. So, I mean, I'd say so disappointing. And really, McKenna treated the game as a glorified friendly, didn't he? Which they probably should have been more upfront with the supporters who've spent lots of money, like Adi Croucher and co, travelling across the country to North Wales to go and watch it and then getting in just before the sun comes up. Do you know what I mean? Because he said, we've got a very tough league schedule coming up. I wanted to get minutes in legs. Minutes in legs is what you do pre-season, all games that you're not taking seriously enough, or try players out in other positions. I mean, we talk about that. You talk about Bagger, Martin.
But he didn't put a youth team out though, Matt. When you say,
well, even then,
more honest about it, that 11 yesterday could have, other than maybe Baggett at left back, could have very well been a Championship League 11.
Yeah,
it was as strong as that. Cajuste and Dan Neil in midfield, the front three, Akpom, Egeli. All those players we'll get to in a moment. But then you've got George Hirst up front. It wasn't like you put out your Josh Yorworth, your Peter Malachek, your Tommy Orrs.
Yeah, no, I
this
agree.
was very much a side that should have performed certainly better than what it did.
And clearly Baggott was no replacement for Alif Davis. I think probably there's a narrative here about Baggott because we've seen very little of him. We keep thinking he's a young player. He's actually going to be he's only a couple of years younger than Dan Neil, or a year younger. And Dan Neil's captained Sunderland to 2 promotions. I mean, he's going to be 24 next birthday, Baggott. I mean, he had a very nice little header on, didn't he? I think in the box in the first half. But I mean, look, square peg round hole. He's not a left back. He wants to be playing centre half. It'd been easier having Greaves on that side and trying Elkin in the middle because no one's come out of any credit, have they? Just play them in positions that they're used to. Baggett's not a left back. And Greaves can play there if needs be, if you must rotate the side round in the absence of a Connor Townsend and Ashley Young. I mean, it might have made more sense, really, for Ben Johnson to play on the left side and have Dara in the right back berth, to be honest with you. But again, he wanted to come through the game unscathed, didn't he, McKenna, really? It had all the hallmarks, from the team selection to the tactics to the effort put in, of just fulfilling the fixture. And I think that's really poor in a competition that Ipswich have history in and have a star on their shirt for, and you're expecting fans to travel and support, etc., etc. Very disappointing.
But did it, though?
For those reasons.
Did it? Did it have that feeling just fulfilling the fixture, really?
Yeah, to me it did. Yeah.
How?
Well, did you see the performances?
Yeah, I saw the performances of players that don't forget, this is now several windows through, and you've developed this squad. This is the squad depth that you were so glowingly speaking about it'll be our strength, our superpower, if you like. We'll build a squad that's 2 or 3 players deep in every position that will see us through. So in that regard, I don't see it as fulfilling a fixture. I see it as players not giving the manager a headache ahead of next weekend. I see it as players that have perhaps in some cases won't now play into the end of the season because of there is no now cup game in which to get those extra minutes. There wasn't enough questions put to the manager from the players on the field that he selected.
No, I agree. And we said the same after the Bromley game, because you said, quite rightly, a Finn Barbrook and Elkin Baggott, whoever it might be, these younger kids on the periphery of the side, of Cameron Humphreys, when are they going to get to wear a blue shirt again? On the periphery of the first team squad, and the League Cup would have lent itself to that for them. That fell by the wayside, and we're having the same conversation here. So, yeah, I certainly feel like Ipswich just went there, and I think if Kieran was being honest with us all, he went there just to fulfil the fixture, and if we get through, then it's a bonus. If we go out, well, we've now got this heavy schedule of games. What is it, 9 games in 4 or 5 weeks, whatever he referenced in the post-match. Just incredibly disappointing. But the manner of the defeat is the cherry on the cake there for that, because it just was like people are saying, lack of creativity. Well, what we said at the top, no creativity, no energy, no, not busting a gut to get forward. Where's the overlap runs? Where's getting decent crosses into the box? None of this was taking place. And actually, that's quite indicative of a lot of our away performances this season, as we've, if you're a long-time viewer of the show, you would have seen, which is why we're sitting in mid-table for away from. Not to get up and on about it, Martin, but Ipswich have been very lucky in some of their away wins, haven't they? We had to kind of count on Cameron Burgess scoring 2 own goals to get us over the line against Swansea. In other games, we've rescued points or got wins through penalties that Jack Clark's converted. We didn't play very well against Sheffield United at Bramall Lane. Was that this month or just tail end of last month? The away form is the real thing. When we get to our where we think Ipswich are going to finish in the league, there's an asterisk there for me on that away form. Real problem, I think. The sooner we can get Nunes back in the side, the better. That might unlock a little bit more creativity for you. But I think even he would have struggled last night. And certainly if Matasiwa would have struggled, given he's not the quickest. And he's only really recycling the ball and mopping up in defence and then trying to get others involved in the game to push us forward. Well, we didn't even have a shot on target, did we? Until late in the second half. Ridiculous.
No, exactly. Yeah, Stephen Peck, £2 super sticker. Stephen, thank you so much for generosity. We really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting Talking Town. Oscar, chin up, lads. Never mind the usual cup debacle. Hopefully next week will be better. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for your town news, views, fan opinion, and more. Going to look at some more player performances in a moment, discuss how we saw their evening, and also discuss where town may finish. We did do the league calculator. Andy McAvoy, it was absolutely abysmal yesterday. Yes, we need to be worried. Refunds and expenses for every single fan who went not good enough. Totally embarrassing. Upper Town forever. Earl, doesn't matter. Only the cup. Don't need a distraction. Different story. League game Saturday 3-0. Ted, Hirst plays like a defensive striker. He presses great. Unfortunately, that's not his primary role. Paul, Egeli, He was especially appalling. Don't know what is up with him of late. Cajuste lackluster. The only one that's come out of it with any credit were Johnson and Palmer. Andrew, what was the point in playing Baggett? Didn't have another left back fit, or they had Boniface on the bench. Paul, cynic in me thinks Hirst has an eye on June. Then again, if things like that, he won't be travelling, obviously, to the World Cup. Paul's referencing now. I'm not quite sure how Scotland is stacked for strikers, so I'm pretty sure he probably will be travelling to the World Cup.
Well, they've got Lawrence Shankland, who's out injured at Hearts, haven't they? Lyndon Dykes at Birmingham, Shay Adams at Torino. I mean, he's down the pecking order, George, there. To be honest, I mean, we've mentioned this before, haven't we? We're kind of putting all our eggs in one basket on a promotion campaign on someone who's not getting in the Scotland squad. But I mean, there we go. He's down the pecking order there. Hopefully he will go for his own experience and career, fingers crossed.
Interesting little question here from Ian, which I wasn't expecting, but he says, if we get promotion and start badly next season, will Ashton have, he said, the balls to pull the trigger on McKenna, or will he sleepwalk to relegation again?
That's a real conundrum. Me and Crunch were talking about this on the phone last night. I mean, if we're being really, truly honest with ourselves, why do we want Ipswich to be promoted? Because we want to be in the Premier League. We're not going to be competitive, are we? Unless we actually do something like Sunderland have done, which is actually recruit really well from the continent. But you have to remember, they've got French manager, French ownership. I think much better connected in Europe and further afield than what Ipswich are, which is why we went, as you rightly said, Martin, they went for championship level players that might be able to step up. If they can't, you go back down with a fairly strong squad to have another bite at the cherry. I mean, I would be really worried about Town going up. I'd be really worried. I mean, look at Burnley. Why are you letting last season? Not even a dozen goals or something stupid? They're struggling down there, aren't they? I know they beat Crystal Palace in their last game, but struggled all season. Ipswich would struggle again. We're just going up to take the money, really. All hope that Premier League clubs around us, like a West Ham, Forest, Wolves, as we're seeing at the moment, have a bit of a meltdown and you can get lucky. But would Ipswich get any more than what they got last season? 26 points? I wouldn't bet on it at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I think he probably would. Who's to say McKenna's even the manager either way, promotion or not?
Exactly that.
The start of next season, whichever division you may find yourself in. All right, look, let's talk about Sindravali Egeli, the championship record fee for a player. What are your thoughts on his performance last night? Because it's got a lot of people talking in regards to the young man.
Yeah, well, we've had a lot of conversation on this show, haven't we? Of people saying, "Oh, well, I think he'd be better in the 10." I'm not actually one of them, but I mean, we have had that conversation before. So he got the opportunity to be in the 10 last night. And like he had some moments where he had a couple of nice passes. There was some nice little chest downs and some little flick-ons. There were also some really dreadful passes into space where no one was making any runs whatsoever, or passing into red shirts. I don't think his crossing stats were great. I mean, he was taking the corners, wasn't he? I think he was stuck in 8 crosses, a couple of corners, one success there. He's not the greatest crosser of the ball, is he? I mean, that's why we keep seeing him when he plays right on the right-hand side. Inverts in, doesn't he, so he can get the ball on his left. He actually looks a shadow of the player that we got when we first signed. He actually looked like a £20 million player then. I mean, I can't remember who it was against, Portsmouth or somebody. Might have even been Norwich. Beautiful cross-field ball. I remember clapping that and thinking, that's fantastic technique for a 19-year-old. But, maybe that was the honeymoon period, and now he's settling into the UK for the first time and finding his feet here, and it's tough going. And the expectation, even though McKenna plays it down, doesn't he? We don't look at the league table; it's one game at a time. While that sounds quite good, I mean that not the conversations players or the squad are having. They're looking to see whether or not they're going to break into the top 2 or win the title, and maybe that's weighing heavy on his shoulders a little bit. But certainly, I think the fee is weighing heavy on his shoulders because, as we've seen with McAteer, you pay in excess of 12 million for McAteer and 20 million for Egeli, and you rightly say championship record. There's a lot of expectation now from ownership, management, supporters.
Yeah.
I think you see a performance like he put in last night. I'm not going to judge him just on one performance, but it just wasn't good enough. It just wasn't good enough. And, if we go into the Premier League, can anyone see Vola Egeli playing in the Premier League? I can't. He'd have to go on a loan back into the Championship, really. I mean, that's not saying great things for someone who's cost 20 mil.
Joe, I do feel a bit sorry for Sindravali Egeli because he didn't ask to be signed for the fee he got signed for. those are things that are out of his control. He's a young player. And clearly, for me, the fee is very much based on the projection of the player you think you're going to be eventually having. Has he gotten better throughout the course of the season? The honest answer has to be no. He has not. From day one, when we saw him come on as a substitution, to yesterday, has he got better through the course of the season? The answer has to be no. But he's a young player, and he's what, 19 years of age. You know, if he hadn't have been signed, I mean, we've recently signed a loan player for 19 for the development team, for crying out loud.
Thank you.
This is a real young player that's come on the back of a large fee, which has placed expectation and pressure from all different sides, from everywhere you can look. That's put more pressure on it. And sometimes, Matt, you can be a better player out of the team than you can be in it. And you've got 3 right wingers. He is one of them. You've got 3 10s. You've got 3 left wingers. You've got 3 strikers, albeit, you know, however you look at them, they are 3 strikers. Just a little spell maybe out of the team will do him the world of good. Will rejuvenate him. So when you do bring him back into the team off the bench, get that confidence, because he looks to me, like you said there a second ago, so lack of confidence for me right now. And that's not going to help him or his development, which in turn, of course, helps us. Are we getting what we want out of him right now as a team? No, because it isn't goals, it isn't assists, it isn't big chances. He's young. So you have to balance those 2 things out between young player you hope to be something. You know, we look at Baggett and we say he's a young player. We look at, he's 24 years, as you've just told me. You look at other players and you say, oh, he's a young player. This is a real young player, a really young player who's never played in England before. And, you know, it's tough. And we all know that this league is a tough league for physicality, how often you play, all these different things. They're not excuses, they're just realities. And sometimes, Matt, being at a team is sometimes better for you in the long run than it is playing every single week.
Yeah, I mean, look, we said, didn't we? Look how when he joined the club, Stardust was there, wasn't he? Him and Nunes come out into the centre circle. You know, you pay the 20 million, you parade him like that. That's not someone who's going to be floating around the squad and maybe getting some games. That's someone who McKenna and Ashton have eyed as someone who's going to be integral to the promotion push. And yeah, he's not there. And Colin made a very good point to me when we was last at Pullman Road. Was it after the Preston game or something? He said, you know, we don't have the proper reserve league anymore. It's all gone away, hasn't it? The football, we used to call it the football combination, where they'd play pretty regularly, as much as like what the first team did. And that would enable, you know, back in the 80s or 90s, whatever, your Mariners, your John Walks, whatever, coming back from or getting one and getting fitness or whatever it might have been, to play games. Egeli only gets a chance to play in matches that are first team games.
He wouldn't play in that anyway.
But do you know what I mean, though? But there's no option there, like you rightly say, a spell from out the side of out of the first 11 would do him some good. There's not that, because he could be too good ready for the 21 stuff, where they're playing pretty much kids, aren't they? Or like the Ipswich side that we saw that went to Everton in the FA Youth Cup the other night. He's just a level above that. There's no kind of middle ground there, which is the same for all clubs, of course. But it just means that you're forever asking him to raise his game in situations that are very difficult to do so in your lack of confidence. You know, going to Bramall Lane or Packed House at Portman Road against, you know, Leicester coming up next month, or whatever it might be, Millwall or whatever. Difficult for a 19-year-old, I think. There's no other options for him to get his confidence, really.
No, and when you say about, you know, is he Premier League ready? Well, actually, I think Premier League would help him in the sense of you then be allowed to then perhaps loan him out to further his development, get him playing, get him regular games that are at the right level for him at that moment in time to get that confidence going. I just don't think, and this is my only opinion, you know, what would the optics be, Matt, of your record championship player playing in a reserve league, like you've just mentioned? Even if they did have the old-fashioned reserve league, I don't think you'd see him in there, because the optics of it, for me, in my opinion, record fee. You're not winning the league by 10 points already. You're not like you're not what Coventry were 3 weeks ago, leading it by a mile, and it's all going rosy. Or the player playing in that position currently has got, you know, 12 goals, 18 assists, etc., etc. So for me, it's just my opinion. The optics wouldn't allow you to do that. And whereas Premier League, new campaign, new money, new signings, you can then look to do that. But right now, it's difficult.
Yeah, the optics on the back of a 20 million transfer fee is really difficult. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Same if he was to go out on loan, really. Say if he do go up into the Premier League and he goes out on loan. Can you imagine the loan club that, I don't know, he goes to Millwall or something? They've got a £20 million player coming in for the season or whatever. I mean, that's, we raised an eyebrow and we said, Benny could go out on loan, didn't we? Well, everyone was going, we paid $8 million for him. He's forgotten about now, isn't he? Sheffield United or whatever. Same with Egeli, really. I mean, it's interesting, because you were saying last night, you've said quite a lot through the season, where this kid with, he's got potential and everything, could be a really good player in the future. There's a question mark around that at the moment. Unless they manage him carefully and get his confidence back, you don't want to see him suddenly spiral. I mean, it was interesting to see on the news the other night, Ben Knight, who was obviously in the Ipswich Academy, wasn't he? Went to Manchester City, life-changing move for him. Couldn't break through there, went on loan to Crewe, spiralled out, went into the third tier of Spanish football. They're following his journey on Look East. And he's come back at Cambridge and actually doing really well. But, he could easily just fallen out into the non-league game. He was right on the edge of that. We don't want to see Egeli kind of follow that kind of blueprint, which is why it's careful management. But to get his confidence back is going to be difficult, because he's forever going to be in must-win promotion. Can we break into the top 2 games?
Yeah. Look, as with other players that we've mentioned this evening already, we're all desperate for it to turn around or perform. I just think maybe sometimes, and certainly the legend grows, right? When you're not in the team, what is it you always tell me? You're never as good as when you're out of the team, because people start saying, "Oh, why aren't we playing so and so? Why aren't we playing so and so?" And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, suddenly you become better, don't you? Yeah.
So it's not bad. That wouldn't be a bad thing either for a young player, just to have that ability to come on and impact games when we need him to, or when he can, etc., as opposed to being what it has been so far throughout this young career, which is a regular that we're really contributing on. For the last parts of the season, McAteer and himself were the only two, and McAteer wasn't really pulling up any trees. Burns was injured. Then in the 10, you've had so many different players misfiring. Then finally we find Nunez. So look, let's just see where that one goes.
Let's not forget Egeli has had. I mean, I don't want to be too negative about somebody who's 19. He's actually had a couple of good moments for us. I mean, the goal at Blackburn got us that point. We were like we were going to lose again. Got the opening goal against Coventry. That kind of Connor Chaplin-esque finish on the edge of the box. The pass we were talking about earlier. You've certainly seen some flashes of a really good player there, but it's few and far between, sadly, at the moment. Hopefully, it will come good for him.
Chris Boyd, last night's show, we simply have to avoid injuries. Last night shows we simply have to avoid injuries the rest of the way, as the squad players just can't cut it. Oscar, I think we have to say that McKenna needs to get the best out of the players he has. At the moment, he is struggling to do that, but that's just my personal opinion. I'm not disagreeing with you there at all, Oscar, and that's kind of why I don't disagree with you whatsoever in that regard. Don't forget, we are partnered with Match Bingo. Remember the word town all in caps. That's town, TOWN, all in caps for a 100% deposit bonus. Deposit minimum is £10, and while bonus cash can't be withdrawn, the winnings, they absolutely can be. So use town for a 100% deposit bonus. Town, all in caps, over 18s only. Please gamble responsibly. Terms and conditions apply. Visit begambleaware.org for more information should you need to. How to play, scan the QR code next to their logo, or click the link in the description to play. I've got Akpom I want to talk about. We've got voice messages. Let's play our voice messages right now, actually. Let's jump straight into our voice messages from you, the town fans.
Hello, it's 80 Croucher here. Well, that's 15 hours I won't get back again, travelling to support my team. Yes, it's the FA Cup. We have got a great history in that, but let's have a better attitude toward the cup, towards the loyal supporters who are having to travel up there twice in 1 week. And it was pretty obvious it was not high in their priorities this week. It's Wrexham. Wrexham's possession, 46%. Ipswich, 54%. Total shots on goal for Wrexham, 13. Total shots for Town, 10. Shots on target, 5. And surprise, surprise, shots on
0.
target for Town, 0. Yes, there was some positive points. Palmer pulled off 2 or 3 good saves, but the rest of the team, please, just have a shot at that goal. The passes came in. Where was Hirst? Completely misses them. Come on, please make it worthwhile next week. and prove and show to all those loyal supporters that you're presently third or fourth at the moment and have the will and the desire to get up that league and get promotion, right?
Evening, Garth. Evening, Talking Town. Walking back from the pub after watching that, I don't really understand what we're looking at with that team, that performance tonight. Yeah, we all know that the league is the most important thing, and I think tonight being a practice for next Saturday was actually a possible way, the way we were playing. We all wanted to try Egeli in the 10. Nope, didn't work. We wanted to see if McAteer can hold it up as the right winger. Nope, didn't work. That was terrible tonight, let's be honest. That was absolutely awful tonight. We had a few nice touches through the middle. We could use in the first half and a little spell of about 10 minutes where we looked like we were a better team than Wrexham, but there was nothing at the end of it. Not a thing. Hirst isn't good enough. I think we all know that. Akpom on the left, he had a few sniffs, but no. Even when we made the subs, I thought 70 minutes, Mehmeti and Clark coming on was going to change the game a bit. Did nothing. Second string, not good enough. First string, thin. We sit in third. We'll see what happens, but oh dear. Up a Talking Town. Worried.
And there we go. Voice messages this week. Thank you so much for the 2 people that left them. We really appreciate it. You can get involved anytime you want, morning, noon, or night, about a question, a praise, a rant, whatever it may be. Speakpipe.com/Talking Town. So, Matt, I tell you what, I want to leave some yesterday, frankly. Let's leave it in the past. All right, let's move on now to top 2, top 6, or worse. There's a league calculator currently on TWTD, and me and you have done it. We are here to tell the Town fan base what Matthew Phillips. First of all, was it a difficult calculation? Was it hard going through every week to see how Town and others may get on?
Yeah, it is, because you've got head versus heart, haven't you? And as we've kind of said here, and you look at the form table, Ipswich's away form is not very good. I certainly think our home form, hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood, is going to propel us into, towards the top 2. But the away form and what we saw last night, not been very good all season. We've had moments of good games, haven't we? The Coventry, great moments against Derby last week after the game, fantastic. But what got us through that game in the end? Fantastic header from Leif Davis. But what gave us the foundation for that in the beginning was the Lewis Travis own goal. And as we've seen, I think it's something like 40 plus games now where Ipswich, if Ipswich do go behind, don't pull the result out of the bag, do they? So,
yeah. All right. So here is your calculation. Talk us through it, because there's quite a few things here that jump out at me. First and foremost, okay. Town in second on 85 points. Yes, only 45 games played. However, it wouldn't accept your Portsmouth result. Is that game ever to be played? But is that a win for you, Portsmouth?
Well, yes, he says.
So 88 points you've got Town finishing second on. Talk us through how you arrived at Town being second, first of all.
Well, I just think Middlesbrough are head and shoulders above everyone. Like I say, I watched the game on Monday night against Sheffield United. The energy that team have got is unbelievable. Like I say, it really does remind me of the Town and McKenna side. A couple of years ago, you got Hackney in the middle, pulling all the strings. They just counter-attack with such pace, and it's everything Ipswich aren't actually away from home, where we're kind of huffing and puffing, not showing the energy, the creativity, getting forward, getting on runs, getting crosses in. They're doing all that and more, and fair play to them. So I think they're probably going to win the title as I sit here right now, mid-February. Things do change, don't they? They sort of come to Portman Road and everything. I think Ipswich are going to be huffing and puffing away from home. I really do.
But not enough to finish anything other than second in your league calculation.
No, I don't think so. Even that's not even 2 points a game, is it? If we finish on 88, 92 is the thing. That wouldn't have got us into second last season, or season before. And obviously it's a little bit more competitive, isn't it? But I have Ipswich finishing second because I do think we are a better side than Hull.
What gives you that confidence that Ipswich are a better side than Hull? Obviously, other than being a Town fan, right? So move the Town glasses for a minute.
Other than when we played them, it was quite a simplistic win, wasn't it? Contained them in the first half, and then we scored.
Yeah, it was.
What was it? A couple of, not even great goals, really, was it? It was the Philogene cross that allowed Nunes to head in, and then Akpom with a little tap in, wasn't it? But it was comfortable for Town that evening, I think. Look, I'm not Richard Chandler. I ain't in the crystal ball, so I don't know. But there's a lot of optimism involved in this. But by the same token, I don't think there's many sides that go up where you're not getting 2 points a game average, and I've got us below that, which I think is probably indicative of our away form, to be honest with you. It's all going to rest on, keep picking up them 3 points at home, then I can see us doing something. I mean, look, Coventry, blown. I mean, what's that done for their mindset? They've blown a 13-point lead. They're now 2 points behind Borough.
Well, on that one, you've got, and we'll come on to mine in a second. You've got Coventry finishing in 4th on 81 points, Matt, which I had to double check with you, as you will know, because I messaged you saying, "Hang on, wait, what? How have you got Coventry finishing 4th? What about Coventry's running gives you that to think they're going to finish 4th?"
Well, they've huffed and puffed against a really bad Oxford side at home, haven't they? You finished the game with 10 men. Then you see someone like Norwich go to Oxford and beat them 3-0 quite comfortably. Their away form hasn't been very good in that since December, Cov. I just think they're in a bit of a rut at the moment. But I mean, look, again, they could get out of it. They showed in the first half of the season they've got really good goal power. And that's kind of gone missing, which probably explains why it feels like the wheels are falling off their season. But I mean, they could get a result against somebody, against Borough. That's coming up, isn't it? Is it Monday? I mean, that could reignite them. I can only do it on what we've been doing this, but we'll have to wait and see. But certainly Town are going to have to show something, a level above what we've seen in most of our away games this season and more. So you have to be a level above what we saw at Wrexham last night.
Yeah. Well, look, the Portsmouth result did go through for me on the calculation, but sadly my graphic's not quite as clear as yours. So I'm going to put it up very briefly, but we can discuss what I came up with. And I was very much drinking the Town Kool-Aid when I did this, because I've got Town. Oh no, it didn't go through. Look at that. Look, you're right. It didn't. It's just Town played 45. I've got us on 92 points there without the Portsmouth result. Coventry in 3rd on 90. Borough winning the league on 95. Millwall in 4th in 81. I've got us finishing 92 points. Now I'll just make you all aware that I did a 1-0 result on every team. So the goals for and against, they're not going to be accurate.
Yeah. We just wins or draws, didn't we? Or losses is what we were doing. Yeah.
It was 1-0 going to be a win, or 1-1, just so we got through it in a fairly decent time. But I'm here to tell you 3 things, Matthew Phillips, which is experience. So in the business end of the season bites, we've got experience at the top end of our football team in McKenna and co, where we've been here before. We've got over the line on several promotions. It's not our first rodeo. Second, big chances missed. I am of the same belief as I believe Kieran McKenna, Mark Ashton and co, that can't continue. We are creating chances, last night aside, we are creating chances in order for our centre forward to be high, in fact, leading big chances missed. I don't think that can continue. I don't think those big chances can continue to be missed. So I think, and I'm praying to God I'm right, George Hirst is going to turn it around, and it's really going to have a real strong end of the season. I hope I'm right. I pray I'm right. I think I'm going to be wrong, but I'm going to go with it anyway.
Well, I mean, look, as I said earlier, we ain't got a crystal ball, have we? What's the catalyst going to be for that, I wonder? I mean, maybe just scoring a goal might put him on. But as everyone keeps saying to us, though, Martin, the McKenna side isn't around the number 9 scoring goals, is it? But I mean, they're clearly making chances for him to convert. Hence the reason he's top of the missing big chances league table. I mean, so George is getting into decent positions.
Exactly.
He's getting the service, not converting. I mean, the narrative would be very different, wouldn't it, if he'd converted all those? And suddenly we'd be going, well, McKenna's side's all about the number 9 scoring now. But because that's missing, it's the other side of the coin instead. The gender of it changes.
And you'd also be saying the club, got 30 million for a striker. They didn't replace him. They gambled on his replacement being good enough, and that gamble's paid off. They've now got the ability to go and do other things in the market. And there's still a lot of time between now and the end of the season for that narrative. I mean, this time last year, may I remind people, some people were calling for George Hirst to start over Liam Delap. So we need to slow down a little bit in terms of writing players off early or praising them too quickly, because I very much lived through that, Matt, where some fans actually did want George Hirst starting over Liam Delap. And I thought at the time, madness. And I think now, madness. Like, I can't believe I lived through that. That was wow.
He did one game, didn't he? Brentford. And scored against Brentford, actually, didn't he? And then Delap come on in the second half and got the equaliser, didn't he? Yeah.
But you are creating chances, right? Last night is last night aside, but you are creating chances. Nunez, Mehmeti coming in for the second half of the season will be so strong for us. You've got Jaden Philogene hopefully making his return soon and then being back among the goals. You are creating chances. If you weren't creating chances, if your strikers were low in big chance create or whatever it may be, if you weren't creating chances, I would be concerned. But you are clearly creating chances, then to be so high in missing them. I'll subscribe to the belief that I think they did. That can't continue. And if we continue making chances, they'll eventually find their scoring boots, and away we go. So that's why I've got us finishing second. I think experience a bit getting over the line in promotion campaigns will prove in good stead against some of the other sides. I think the goal scoring will turn around, and I think on that one the away form will also turn around. I really do.
Very optimistic, Martin. What have you been drinking?
The Kool-Aid. The Ipswich Town Kool-Aid. Yeah.
Certainly, I think we need to get Philogene and Nunez back ASAP to help us with that.
100%.
Now, but that's the other conversation, isn't it? Will Nunez, given the lack of midfield options that we saw last night, will Nunez fall back into his more natural role, being in maybe partnering Matasiwa, allowing Mehmeti to play in the 10? Going back to the game last night very quickly, what actually actually caused the Wrexham goal? It was actually Dan Neal's pass back to Ben Johnson from our throw that went out for a throw that then enabled Wrexham to have the ball and break and score.
Yeah,
I can remember back in my England, when I was with England under 21s, I saw Stuart Pearce do a training session for 1 hour about not giving the ball away from a throw. 1 hour they was on the training pitch doing this. This is where you've got to be. This is where you've got to be. This is how good the touch has got to be when it goes back to the thrower. It was just ridiculous. Neil over at his pass. Ben Johnson was not on his toes to be able to move quick enough to get it. Ball goes to Wrexham, went down the other end and Windass got it. So again, architects of our own downfall over something so basic, that's schoolboy. A throw to a midfielder to pass back. It then goes out for a throw and they score from it. So just crazy. I mean, they're the kind of, if we'd done that in a league game, we'd be spitting feathers, wouldn't we? It was bad enough last night.
Very much so. And that is a good way of ending it, really, because if it was the league game, would be spitting feathers. And that's what's up next, the league game against Wrexham, where either this week was a blip and no one was ever going to remember it, really, or it was the start of something which is going to rumble and then you are going to remember it and be twice as frustrated that you didn't put a stronger side out if you don't think the scene last night was as strong as it could have been. And we've managed to lose on both occasions, but time will tell. But we've done, I think, for the FA Cup fourth round. Well, certainly Town have done with the FA Cup for this year, and we're done for the FA Cup for this year. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Town deliver next weekend when we go back there in the league and we see what we've got. And interesting. Hopefully we'll have some players back returning from injury, Nunez and Philogene, looking at both of those to hopefully set ourselves up on what will be an interesting run-in of games towards the end of the season. We're there every step of the way. We're back live on Wednesday for our match preview, Wrexham Mark II. So do join us. And then the week after that, Matt, have you seen the week after that? That is a massive week. We've got like Watford midweek, which means there's a match preview on a Monday, then Watford, then
it's Swansea on the week on the Saturday, isn't it? We've got Swansea. Yeah. We've got Hull to come. Somewhere sandwiched in there. Is that the start of March? Hull on March the 3rd, I think. That's the rearranged game. Got to stick Pompey in somewhere, haven't they? Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. ITFC Blue Army says, keep up the work, lads. Makes my day. Appreciate that, Blue Army. Appreciate that. Hope you have a lovely evening. Derek, Borough looking at the form team. We aren't looking great at the minute. Our current team is no way good enough for the Premier League. Would come straight back down. Yeah, I kind of agree with you, but the window can change all that. And I'd rather be in the division above, giving it a good go than trying to get into it. You never know. You never know. And if teams come down that are already established, Matt, in terms of Premier League position, you're going to have promoted sides only a year ago still up there. And we all know second season syndrome is a real thing. Two other promoted sides with you could be a great opportunity to really get yourself in the door and then put your feet underneath you in terms of staying in the league.
I mean, look at what the Championship could have like next season. You could have, you can have Wolves in there, I think. You could have West Ham in there. If Burnley somehow keep winning games as they did against Palace, could draw Forest in. Forest could go down, change the manager again, haven't they? And come to like fourth, going to be their fourth manager this season. I mean, just an absolute shambles there, City Ground.
But do you
So
feel,
you don't want to be in a division with those three
no?
trying to
Do
get
you
back
feel-
into the Premier League?
Do you feel Burnley very much sort of prove the theory of if you go up, you come down again, you can yo-yo and get stronger each time? Because every time they go back to the Premier League, Matt, they don't look up until recently. They don't look all that much stronger than the previous time they were in the division.
No, exactly that. I mean,
Because it used to
again,
be seen as something of, if you go up, give it a go. If you come back down, you'll be a stronger team. You'll then go straight back up again. And each time you come back stronger until eventually you land back and you're strong enough to stand and go forward. But each time they come back, they just don't look like they've really tremendously moved further forward.
No, I agree. I agree. I'd agree with that. Bournemouth's actually probably the better model, isn't it? They went up, then they came down, got promoted straight away, didn't they? Under Parker, I think it was Parker. Was it him? Can't remember. Gary O'Neill. But yeah, look at them now. I mean, they've been pushing, for over the last couple of seasons, been pushing for Europe and stuff, haven't they? Struggled a bit more this season, but yeah, exactly that. John Sharp here saying, could Wrexham be our bogey team in this league? I mean, everyone going, oh well, let's make sure we win the game next week. Well, we drew with them at Portman Road 0-0. Got beaten in the cup last night. So I mean, third time of asking. It's going to be difficult, I think.
They're still Watford. It'll forever be Watford. Come on, it's always Watford, and it always will be Watford. And I just think that I think the blueprint these days, because of the money and what clubs can do, if you get there, you need to try and find any way you can to stay there, because the money is such that if you go down with strong players, you lose them. Not Nottingham Forest breaking their transfer record fee for a player that some fans aren't even happy with, Amari Hutchinson. Yeah, you too many times now you go down as a team and you lose your best players and you're more or less starting again. So you need to do what Sunderland and Leeds perhaps will do. And that is find any way you can to stay there.
I think Sunderland is probably the blueprint, isn't it, for promoted sides? I mean, I thought they'd go down with points total worse than what Southampton was last season. Proved me wrong now. I thought it'd been proved wrong. Martin, if you saw our preview show for Wrexham, we were debating whether or not players were cup tied, and Martin was spot on. Gone. After that show, I put in a call to a friend at the FA and said, what's going on with this cup tie stuff? He said, yeah, no longer a thing. As we tried to decipher the ruling, didn't we? The competition rule, which was a bit easier said than done. But apparently it was because the FA Cup committee at Wembley wanted it to follow the precedent of the Champions League, and allow players to want to be able to play onward in the competition if you get transferred. There we go.
Just leave football alone, please. Please, I beg you.
Sometimes for about 100 years.
Sometimes football, right? It's the leading sport in the world. It is the leading sport in the world. But sometimes it acts like a sport that's fighting for relevancy as opposed to one that should be leading the world. Just leave stuff alone. That doesn't need playing with, doesn't need touching. Just leave it alone. Full stop.
I think it's exposure for the competition, isn't it? Because
how is it exposure? How has anyone got exposure from it?
I guess if you've got teams that players that are playing in the Champions League and they've played in the early rounds and then they go to a PSG or something, I don't know, just as an example, cup tied them from playing in the rest of the competition, they felt that was removing shine from the competition, removing the exposure of the star players now not being able to play because they played earlier in the competition. So I think that's what the FA Cup's trying to emulate, because you're going to get Mark Gahey, having played for Palace, I think, against Macclesfield, now being able to play against Manchester City. And as Curtis rightly said, Semenyo was the one. It confused me a little bit because that was the League Cup. The League Cup have also done it. So, yeah, strange. I mean...
but you're not getting exposure from that. Like, okay, so, Mark, so what? My answer to that would be, so what? So what, you couldn't see the latest marquee signing?
Yeah.
For so-and-so. I mean, who... Really? I mean, it's been the same way for the last, all my life. 100 years.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. And same with the Champions League. They need to worry more about their overall competition health than anything else. Yes, okay, it makes a lot of money, but is it a good watch, the Champions League? Is it really?
Well, I think Michael's made a good point here. We were discussing this last. Funny into the show, this, isn't it? He said EFL will vote to expand the playoffs. We also debated that, didn't we, in the preview show to Wrexham? Again, trying to follow that Champions League model. I think it's made much more of an exciting Champions League group stage, isn't it? Because you've got this huge league table, haven't you, of about 30 plus sides, of which
that's not exciting.
Yeah, but they're kind of forever moving within this ladder. And if you're in the top 16 or just outside, you might qualify for the next round or the playoff round. Again, just giving clubs a bite of the cherry that probably don't really deserve it, which was our take, wasn't it? Are you really deserving of a playoff place to be in the Premier League if you're finishing, I don't know, you're starting the last day of the season down in 12th, and then you just grab 8th on on the last day on goal difference or whatever?
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. They're trying to follow the Champions League way, and the same way the Champions League is bloated, the playoffs would then become bloated. Because you know what? You want to make it really exciting and forget the bottom line for a minute, Matt. You make it the Champions League, the clues in the title of the tournament, straight knockout, knockout.
Like
Boom.
it used to be.
You want something, the excitement, etc. back. That's how you do it, or the exposure. That's how you do it. Instead of
that's why, exactly. That was the old European Cup over 2 legs. Yeah. Exactly that. But of course, it doesn't make as much money, does it? Because the competition.
No. And that's really what it's and that's what it boils down to. And of course, they tried to have a European Super League, didn't have a European Super League, so instead they made the Champions League a league.
Real Madrid are the only people flying the flag for the European. Real Madrid are the only team flying the flag for that European Super League. I mean, just that comes back to town when we talk about, the Blue Action sing in the stadium, don't they? Champions of Europe. I mean, literally, Ipswich were beating teams in the UEFA Cup that finished 2nd, 3rd, 4th in their domestic leagues, all of which would now be Champions League caliber sides. So it shows you what an accomplishment that was all those years ago.
Yeah. Very much so. Anyway, don't forget Stowmarket Osteopaths, quality care in Stowmarket since 1985 for physiotherapy and osteopath services. Give Freddie a call there on 01449613633, 01449613633. There'll be an appointment on Thursday morning opening up very soon, because mine will have to be cancelled, sadly, because I can't make it now. So if you do fancy it, there you go. Give them a call, 01449613633. Just to prove I do actually in fact go there myself. There will be one opening up.
Have you got your car fixed?
Nope.
That was a discussion. No, still going?
No, they're still looking into it. It's going to be expensive, very expensive, very expensive. Eye-wateringly expensive. But
Good
you know
luck.
what? I said last week I'm on a keto, and I am on a keto, but I'm breaking it this evening. It's Valentine's Day. I'm going to have something to eat. I'm breaking it.
Fair play. Why not?
I don't know what takeaway I'm getting, but I'm getting a takeaway, and that's a simple case of that. And that's all there is to say. And no. I won't feel guilty for it, and you can't guilt me in for doing it. I'm breaking the keto, Matt. It's done.
You're going to have to. You've had a lot of trauma recently. You've had this MOT. You've had to sit through 90 minutes and do a watch along on.
I know.
Talking down last night for the FA Cup game, which was paint-dryingly boring. So yeah, knock yourself out. Enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. The thing is, though, it's the sort of game last night, Matt, where if you're watching it at home, you could have just done a million other things. Replaced some Football Manager. You could have played a computer game while keeping one eye on it. You could have scrolled your phone. Also, I did a watch along, which I absolutely loved, because it was great fun having back and forth with the live chat. But equally, I couldn't turn it off, so I had to make myself watch it for 90 minutes. And yeah, I could have cried. Anyway, we're done for the evening. That man there is Matthew Phillips. You are the wonderful audience. Thank you for joining us on this Talking Town. See you Wednesday, 8 p.m. for our match preview. But until then, you take care. God bless. All the best. Enjoy your evening. You've reached the end. Thank you so much for watching. Hit here to subscribe. It's totally free. And hit here for more Talking Town videos. I'll see you on the next one.